First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
We are following breaking news spanning two Hampton Road cities, a police chase and of an abduction suspect from Chesapeake into Norfolk.
This unfolds as our WAVY traffic jam cams rolled. You can see police cruisers following a gold-colored minivan. And here's where it ended. We first broke this on WAVY.com.
And we brought you special coverage of the possible abduction on air. You see here where the guy got out of the water onto the dock and police officers were waiting for him there in the Freemason section of Norfolk. Chopper 10 captured this exclusive video of the guy getting pulled from the water there. And pilot John Massey had a bird's eye view of the arrest. John, can you tell us what's going on?
As Tom, right now we remain above the scene. The gold van that you see right there in the center of your picture, that was the one that was involved in the pursuit. The person jumped out of and, believe it or not, jumped into the Elizabeth River where he was headed. We don't know, but not a good idea this time of the year. He actually got as far out as about the boathouse right there that you see when a Coast Guardsman that was in the area doing some training received a call for assistance. They came up alongside. When he saw them coming up, as well as the officers on the pier, he decided to go ahead and swim back toward the pier where he was taken into custody. But you can see the van remains on scene. They're waiting on a wrecker to get that extracted and out of the way. And it's right at the end of West Freemason Street here in Norfolk. Officers still remain on scene. They did initially dispatch an ambulance to the scene to check this person out because obviously, as cold as that water is, he could have had some complications with hypothermia, but we don't have any word on his condition at the moment. But he is in custody. Now, this all started around 4 o'clock this afternoon in Greatsbridge, and during the pursuit, the initial call was that it possibly involved a carjacking with a female passenger. Now, the pursuit started at that point, came all the way up through Chesapeake into Norfolk, through Norfolk on some of the interstates, and then wound up here on the Freemason section, West Freemason, in downtown Norfolk, where the pursuit came to an end. Tom?
All right, and we have to consider, too, John, the time of day where this happened, 4 o'clock in the afternoon towards rush hour. It must have been very dicey for police, and especially for the people living in the Freemason neighborhood.
And those working in downtown Norfolk.
Yes.
Indeed. Obviously, that time of the day is a lot of people are getting off work and a lot of pedestrian traffic in this neighborhood because, as you can see from the air, it is a neighborhood section. Yeah. So there's a lot of sidewalks, that kind of thing, but we did not receive any reports of anybody being injured in the pursuit.
And where I'm looking right now, John, there are pedestrians here all the time.
Oh yeah, folks walking their dogs.
People walking their dogs and walking.
Their bikes.
Yeah, and it's a very dangerous place to be if something like this is going on. We're glad nobody else was hurt here.
Indeed.
John Massey live for us from Chopper 10 with this breaking news, the only view you'll get of this attempted abduction suspect being caught there in Freemason.
Well, a Virginia Beach man stood before a judge today, charged with killing his own grandparents. 36-year-old Dante Brown faces 2 counts of first-degree murder. He was already in jail on drug charges after he allegedly killed Eugene and Mary McNeely back in July. 10 on your side's Andy Fox went back to the neighborhood today and found neighbors not surprised by the new charges. Andy?
Tom and Nicole, they remain shocked, the neighbors, but not surprised. Brown lived with his grandparents. So after the McNeelys were found dead and Brown disappeared, well, family and neighbors and police always suspicious.
Shocked, but not really terribly surprised, just from what she told me.
Longtime neighbor Trudy Smith, not surprised Dante Brown was charged with killing his own grandparents in the house he shared with them.
Just a couple things she told me shortly before they died, that, you know, he'd been living there and she wanted him out, and, you know, he was trouble, and, you know, the police had been over there many times. And
Trudy Smith lived next to Eugene and Mary McNeely 25 years. The McNeelys lived in this house about 50 years. July 5th, everything changed. The McNeelys found bludgeoned to death. The search warrant says on July 4th, hours before Mary McNeely was killed, she confided in a family member that Dante was driving her crazy. Later on the 4th of July, McNeely was talking to a family member when Dante snatched the phone out of her hand and began to accuse her of talking about him behind his back. The line disconnected.
One thing that upset her because he always smoked, and, you know, he was smoking in the house, he was smoking in her car, and she didn't like that. And
July 5th, 2:55 a.m., Brown called a family member and said he was leaving town. Suddenly, he had a plane to catch. Later, Brown told his stepfather he was going to receive $70,000 in his grandparents' will. Fearing the worst, the family called police to the house, and police found the McNeelys dead. Dante Brown was missing, but police found him, luckily, at a local hotel, arresting him on unrelated drug charges and also for pulling a fire alarm.
We wanted to interview Brown, but he denied that request. Tonight at 6, other neighbors remember the McNeelys, the nicest people on the street. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
Now, Dante Brown has a lengthy criminal record. A judge denied him bond in July on the drug charges because of previous charges. He was also considered a flight risk because he was always a suspect in his grandparents' murders.
Well, in about 2 hours, parents and teachers will get to weigh in about a fourth school in Hampton potentially closing. 10 on your side's Melanie Woodrow is here now. Merrimack Elementary was not their first choice, Melanie.
No, it wasn't, Tom. Initially, school officials were looking at closing Cary Elementary, but after 2 public forums, those school officials felt that Merrimack would be the better option. Parents, however, do not. The cost-cutting move, closing a Hampton school, Cary Elementary or Merrimack Elementary. It's a move that comes with a cost for parents like Craig Tones.
Yeah, it's too many. I mean, budget your money right.
Tones is also PTA president here at Merrimack.
It's all about money. They should close Cary and sell it to a developer.
School officials had been looking at closing Cary, a move they said would have saved $900,000 a year. Approximately 300 students would have been moved. But during 2 public forums, those school officials listened carefully to what parents had to say and decided it might make more sense to close Merrimack, which is a half-mile away.
They say that parking is the reason why they're closing the school, but it's a neighborhood school, so it shouldn't be a problem.
We saw lots of relatives walking children home from Merrimack this afternoon, including Uncle Jeffrey Holman, who has a 5-year-old nephew and 7-year-old niece. What would you miss most?
My best friend and my cousin.
I think they'll be a little bit confused.
Relatives and Merrimack students will get their chance to weigh in tonight, likely expressing similar concerns to the ones family members expressed when Cary was on the chopping block. Coming up tonight, new at 6, we'll talk about whether or not overcrowding will be an issue if one of these Hampton schools does close, of course, making it the 4th to close since 2010. Also, I'll let you know why parents think that the walk to Cary could be more dangerous if Merrimack closes. Melanie Woodrow, 10 on your side.
And by the way, tonight's public forum starts at 7 o'clock at Jones Magnet Middle School and runs until 8:30.
Firefighters rescued a 76-year-old disabled man from a burning home in Virginia Beach this afternoon. Investigators are working to find a cause of the fire on Hialeah Drive in the Dunbarton section of Kempsville. The flames were contained to one room of the house. The elderly man was using a wheelchair and got disoriented, so firefighters helped him get out. We're told he is expected to be okay.
In our economy tonight, a move by the world's central banks to ease borrowing costs. It had quite an effect on Wall Street today. It sent stocks soaring. The Dow jumped 490 points, the biggest single-day gain since March of 2009. And there's the closing number back over 12,000 at 1245. The NASDAQ and S&P 500 also had sizable gains. Franklin is getting 64 new jobs. Today, Governor Bob McDonnell announced the company Enviva investing $75 million to build a wood pellet factory there. Enviva makes wood pellets that are burned to produce sustainable energy. The CEO of that company said he chose Southampton County because of the strong timber industry, skilled labor force, and advantage of being so close to the Port of Chesapeake.
The man who tried to kill President Reagan wants to spend more time outside a Washington mental hospital, but prosecutors say John Hinckley is too devious for more freedom and recently tried to cover up browsing at a store for books about Reagan and presidential assassinations. Hinckley was found not guilty by reason of insanity in the 1981 shooting and was committed to a D.C. hospital. He has a driver's license and is allowed to 10-day long visits with his mom in Williamsburg. Today, a federal judge started hearing arguments that Hinckley should be allowed 3-week-long visits and eventually transition to living outside the mental hospital full-time.
The Reverend Billy Graham is in the hospital tonight. A spokesperson says the 93-year-old evangelist was admitted to a hospital near his North Carolina home today to be tested for pneumonia. He's suffering from congestion and a cough and a slight fever. Hospital says Graham was smiling and waving to staff as he entered the hospital.
And so this is Tammy Smith, and she's pulling out in the road to try and avoid our questions. Tammy, we just need to talk to you.
10 on Your Side confronts a Suffolk woman. You just saw her there, charged with animal cruelty and neglect. You'll hear what she says about those charges against her in an exclusive interview tonight at 5:30.
Toy troubles. Some local needy families learned they won't be getting gifts from a big holiday charity. We'll tell you why. Find out when we learn 10 on Your Side tried to get help for the children.
More Facebook changes. It made a deal with the government about privacy settings on your page, and we're on your side with what this means for your account.
And a look at our clear skies, at least on the camera. There's still a few clouds around. Chilly day throughout the area. Norfolk temperatures only made it on up into the low to mid-50s throughout the area. What's going to be for tomorrow all the way to the weekend? Some changes ahead. You'll see them in our forecast.
Here's a 10 on Your Side consumer alert. A government energy agency says it'll cost more to heat your home this year. That's because heating oil is going up 10%. Propane will be up 9%. Natural gas and electricity, they'll be about the same. Consumer Reports says if you're considering using an electric space heater to save money, be sure to lower the heat in the other rooms. Also, lowering your thermostat 10 to 15 degrees for 8 hours, that adds up. And adding insulation and caulking can also help you out and get those heating costs under control.
If you're a Facebook user who complained about the constantly changing privacy settings, the federal government heard you. Federal regulators and Facebook creator Mark Zuckerberg reached an agreement that will put the social network giant through an audit every 2 years for the next 2 decades. So how does this impact your account? Facebook will now create explicit opt-in approval before changing your privacy control settings. Facebook will have to be clear about the information it shares with you. Also, material on your account won't be accessible 30 days after your Facebook account is deleted. That's good. The Federal Trade Commission believes Facebook misled more than 800 million account holders when the social networking site passed personal information on to advertisers and software developers. Facebook has not admitted any wrongdoing.
One of the best-selling drugs ever is now available as a less expensive generic. What the drug maker is doing to try and make sure you still buy the brand name. But first,
it is heartbreaking. Of course, we don't like turning people away ever.
But this year, the Salvation Army must turn away more than 300 preschoolers. We'll tell you why and how you can help.
we continue to follow breaking news now. A chase from Chesapeake to Norfolk down 264 and 464. The call came in at 4 o'clock and it ended up in a downtown Norfolk neighborhood.
Yes, officers were trying to stop a van suspected in an abduction, and so WAVY's traffic jam cams captured this chase along I-464 into Norfolk, into the Freemason area. Police say the driver raced into downtown Norfolk and tried to get away by actually jumping into the water in Freemason.
He went down Botetourt Street and a dead end, and there you see the arrest video. Coast Guard personnel were training in this area at the time, and they apparently aided police, and you see he's being cuffed shortly after the chase ended.
And now let's take a look at a live picture from Chopper 10. You see police officers still there on the scene, and you see that gold van, and apparently, you know, this is the time of day when folks are coming home, and that's a pretty active area where folks walk their dogs, they take a walk by the water there, so this is Freemason area in Norfolk.
No injuries reported, but that van may be the center of another criminal investigation. We'll keep following this story for you. See it all, too, on WAVY.com.
That's right, you can see it all there. Well, some low-income families recently learned they will not receive toys from the Salvation Army this holiday because they missed the deadline to apply.
10 on your side, Stephanie Harris headed out this morning to see if she could find them some help. Steph.
Well, Tom, what I found really is no surprise here. People in Hampton Roads have huge hearts, and several groups were already mobilizing to make the holidays happen for these kids.
This is how Christmas morning should look. But 300 kids in Hampton Roads could have nothing to unwrap this year
due to a big snafu.
I mean, it is heartbreaking. Of course, we don't like turning people away ever.
The Salvation Army will soon give away toys for 20,000 children, but some Head Start students won't be among them. Every year, the preschool program for low-income families sends applications home to parents. But this year, the program came under new management and missed the October deadline.
We set our deadline when we do because we need time to process the paperwork, also because of the sheer volume of applications we get.
But the Salvation Army isn't the only group that can play Santa.
We are going to jump into this with both feet.
The Meridian Group and other businesses are now organizing what the Head Start director calls a Christmas coalition.
That a lot of people that are calling in are saying that our friends are saying, what do you need, cash? Do you need presents? And we just said, we need something for these kids to open on Christmas morning.
And you can help too. The website independentwestand.org will soon post a list of toy drop-off locations and suggestions based on what the kids really want. So come Christmas morning, there'll be more of this in more Hampton Roads homes. Gotta love that. We'll put a link to that website on WAVY.com. Also, Lakeman Construction in Chesapeake set up a bank account to collect money for gifts. You can contribute to the Christmas is for Kids account at any SunTrust branch. Stephanie Harris, 10 on your side.
Now, in high definition, your Super Dapper 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
It's cold and it's going to get a lot colder overnight. We've got clearing skies through the region. Still some cloud cover though right at the coastline. No rainfall within this, and it's not cold enough to snow, but it is chilly out there. Here's a look at what's going on in terms of the cloud cover. The clouds are going to be gone. The cold is going to hang around, and you can see again the cloud cover right on in over the top of our area. And what's going on is there's a little wind shift line that's out there that's going to clear our area here in the next several hours. We'll see the winds pick up just a bit later on, and it will also really reinforce the cool air that we've got in place. By 9 o'clock, that wind shift line is right about into here. Northwest wind 5 to 10 becomes more north-northwesterly by 2 o'clock in the morning. And tomorrow to start the day, there might be a little breeze in the trees again. 10 to 20 miles an hour, and then 10 to 15 and really gusting to around 20 during the day tomorrow. But lots and lots of sunshine. There's where we are at the end of the day, a very light northerly wind. Overnight and into Friday, it's still going to be chilly on Friday morning, but we'll warm up just a tad more during the day coming up for Friday. In fact, Friday looks considerably better. But the nice thing about this is with the cloud cover moving out and the sunset, beautiful, beautiful sunset out there, picture perfect out there. Here's a look at what we've got going on right now. Partly cloudy, and you can see behind my big head, there's still some cloud cover out there near the coastline, especially. 49 right now in Newport News, 51 in Norfolk, 49 degrees into Virginia Beach. Our low last night, 41 in Norfolk. High today, 53 degrees. We're not going to warm up much from that coming up for tomorrow either. Hampton, 49, Chesapeake, 50, 48 degrees coming up for Suffolk. Again, temperatures in the upper 40s to around the 50-degree mark, and our skies are clearing on off pretty nicely. In fact, they'll really clear off in the next several hours. Low temperatures last night between 36 to 39, 38, 41 degrees, 45 degrees even at the Outer Banks, but tonight even cooler, 40, 35, 32, northwest winds at 10, and they could be a little gusty a little bit later on. Here's where things are for the south side of the Hampton Roads area. Northwest winds becoming northerly at 10 to 15, lows 31 to around 38 degrees. For the peninsula, low temperatures around 32 to 35. Northwest winds become northerly at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Air is very, very dry. It's very chilly out there already. 32 to 37 for the middle peninsula, northern neck, eastern shore. And few stray clouds could continue during their evening hours across the eastern shore. And that northwesterly wind will tend to hold your temperature up just a tad overnight. Here's what's going on for tomorrow around 54. Oh boy, a degree warmer. 58 though coming up on Friday. That is significantly warmer. That's near normal. 50 on Saturday, but right back up there again for Sunday and Monday. Chance of rain coming up by Tuesday. A little cooler again Wednesday. Again, cold overnight, remaining pretty chilly for tomorrow.
Yeah, not too much to complain about there. Doctors are working to collect DNA from more than 1 million veterans. How this program could help people who've never even served in the military.
Do you know what's in your child's glass of juice? It could contain a dangerous chemical that could increase the risk of cancer and other diseases. Hear what you need to know at 5:30.
Do you have me, Kenny? Okay, so we got it. Okay, all right, okay.
The Veterans Affairs Office of Research and Development is collecting DNA from 1 million vets.
The Million Veteran Program is setting up a medical database to help scientists understand how our genes influence disorders and diseases.
The information that we learn from these studies may be accessible for everybody, and it may be of use to everybody, whether it's studying Alzheimer's disease or something that has more military connotations such as PTSD. We'll be able to use that for all Americans to improve care.
Doctors say the more genetic information they can collect, the more they can learn about why some vets develop certain diseases and disorders and others don't.
Now, if you would like more information about participation in the Million Veteran Program, go to WAVY.com and you'll find a link.
The biggest selling prescription drug of all time is now available in a cheaper, generic form. We're talking about the cholesterol-lowering drug Lipitor. Its annual sales top $11 billion. Pfizer's patent on the drug expired today. Pfizer is offering insured patients a discount card that gives them a month's supply of Lipitor for $4. It could be cheaper than the generic. Pfizer is also reportedly making deals with insurance companies to prevent pharmacists from selling generic Lipitor.
You've spent the past few days shopping, and soon it'll be time to ship out those holiday gifts.
We're on your side to make sure your packages arrive in time for Christmas.
Military families getting a free tree for the holidays. Coming up, I'll show you which one Olivia picked.
And we continue to follow breaking news in Norfolk. You're looking at a live picture there in the Freemason neighborhood. We're on your side with advice from the Postal Service to make sure those holiday gifts arrive on time. First, make sure you have the correct address. That's a big one. You may be able to save some money by sending gifts in the Postal Service's flat rate boxes. They're the same rate to any state. Boxes are free. And here's some important dates to remember. Make sure your packages arrive by Christmas. Ship by December 3rd for Afghanistan, December 10th for other overseas bases, and mail by December 15th to reach those domestic destinations. And importantly, in this economy, save money. Stay with us. WAVY News 10 at 5:30 starts right now.
First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
We're beginning now with breaking news. We're staying on the breaking news we first told you about on WAVY.com and in a special live report around 4:30 this afternoon.
This all started as a police chase in the Great Bridge area of Chesapeake. Officers were trying to stop a van suspected in an abduction. WAVY's jam cams caught officers chasing that driver on 464 into Norfolk, and police say the driver raced into downtown Norfolk and tried to get away by jumping into the water in the Freemason area.
Only Chopper 10 was over the scene in the Elizabeth River when the Coast Guard tried to pull the suspect to safety. 10 on your side's John Massey watched the whole thing unfold from the air, and he joins us now with the latest. John, still a scene out there. What's going on?
Indeed, there is. Right now, we're taking a live look from Chopper 10 down on the van that still remains at the end of the West Freemason Avenue. It's right where the water meets the shoreline. That's where the suspect abandoned the vehicle, ran across the pier, and decided to jump into the water on the Elizabeth River side, on the Norfolk side, and started swimming over toward the Portsmouth side. Now, obviously, this time of the year, that water is extremely cold. He thought better of it when the Coast Guard runabout did show up. Swam back to the pier and climbed up on the pier, and that's where he was taken into custody by police. Now, I do have a little bit of updated information for you. I told you earlier, initially the call came out as a possible abduction. Now, what took place is a man and a woman went into a grocery store. He got out of the van to go into the grocery store. She stayed in the van when the suspect approached the van. At that time, he pulled her out of the van and took off with the van. So the abduction part of the story has gone away. It was a carjacking that came from Great Bridge all the way up to Norfolk, ended here on the West Freemason section of downtown, through the downtown area, and with a very cold and wet suspect when he was taken into custody. But we have our own Jason Marks on the ground down below that can give us some more details. Jason.
Yeah, John, you pretty much summed it up all right there, but let's show you what things look like here on the ground. This is the end of Freemason here in downtown Norfolk. You can see right down there is the Norfolk Boat Club, and that's where officers are focusing their investigation. Now, we have seen Chesapeake detectives along with Norfolk police here. As you mentioned, that chase started in Chesapeake, came here to downtown Norfolk after a very long chase, looping around the area, and ended right here next to the water. Now, that's the boathouse you're seeing, the boat club, and that's where this whole investigation is taking place. We have not seen the suspect here on the ground since we arrived, and there hasn't been many people walking around, but all we really see is just officers doing their thing. We've seen some come and go, but we're going to stay here on the scene. We just got here a short time ago on the ground. We're going to continue to collect information, and we'll certainly have an update for you. WAVY News 10 at 6.
Jason, I'm certainly familiar with that area. I even took yoga over there by the pagoda. I used to have classes out there, so I know people are out there walking their dogs and going for an evening run. You say you haven't seen too many people?
Well, guys, I'm going to send it back to you. Something's wrong. I cannot hear anything you guys are saying right now.
Okay, no problem. Jason Marks there on the ground force there in the West Freemason area where that chase ended when the guy jumped in the water and police got him. We'll have more on this on WAVY.com.
That's right, and we'll update you right here as soon as we get any new information. Now, to a follow-up on an exclusive story we first brought you on Monday. Shortly after our story of alleged animal neglect aired, Suffolk officers seized 2 horses and placed them in foster care.
Police arrested their owner, Tammy Smith, and charged her with animal cruelty and neglect. 10 News Side's Katie Collette spoke with Smith today. So, Katie, what does she have to say about all this?
Nicole, she says this whole thing is embarrassing and ruining her reputation in the horse community. She denies all charges against her, claiming one of the horses is perfectly fine, while the other has a medical condition she tried to treat, but it ended up getting worse.
We introduced you to Bianca and Penny Monday. Some Manning Farms residents worried the horses were neglected, especially Penny, citing her thin, fragile-looking frame. Monday evening, Suffolk Animal Control seized the horses. Tuesday, police arrested their owner, Tammy Smith, and charged her with neglect. Today, we tried speaking with Tammy. She wasn't home, but her father was.
Yeah, she likes the animal. That's why she bought that horse. She's crazy about that horse she owns.
Eventually, we got a hold of Tammy over the phone.
I cannot take this trouble. I am not going to be looked at as a person, as a bad person, and neglects animals.
Tammy says she owned this horse for 5 years with no problems.
Tammy, are you saying you have no idea why they would decide to take these horses and charge you with neglect?
Okay, the first, I think, for real, because the one is too skinny.
She's talking about Penny. Tammy says she saved the horse from a farmer who planned to put her down because of a medical condition, causing it to burn calories faster than normal. Investigators and Tammy say a veterinarian put the horse on medication for her condition in September.
The vet that came out there, he didn't tell me that she had to stay on the medicine.
Tammy says when the medicine ran out, the horse lost more weight than it gained, hence its fragile look. Tammy contends she thought the veterinarian wanted to check Penny one more time before deciding to continue with the medication.
Oh, for neglect? There is no neglect. There's just a problem with the horse that I just can't fix overnight. But I have done everything that I was supposed to do for that horse, as I was told.
Now, as for residents' concerns of water and feed for the horses, Tammy says there are dozens of acres of land filled with grass and water those residents can't see, and we sure couldn't see yesterday. Plus, she says she gives the horses hay every day. Animal Control says its investigation is ongoing. Meanwhile, Tammy tells me she plans to fight the charges against her. Katie Collette, 10 on your side.
And Tammy says her next step is to try at least to get back the horse she calls Bianca. She says if there's a way she can help Penny, she'd like to continue to try.
In tonight's military headlines, Vice President Joe Biden made a surprise visit to Iraq. This trip comes on the heels of a major American troop withdrawal. After 8 years of war and violence, President Obama says all U.S. troops will be home by the end of the year. And Curry has more from Iraq.
The vice president timed his trip to the last days of America's war in Iraq. From 170,000 troops deployed at the height of the war, now less than 13,000 are packing up for good. General Jeffrey Buchanan says this largest movement of military equipment since World War II sparks emotions.
I think all of us have lost a lot of friends, and that's tough. We want to honor that commitment and honor their sacrifice. My greatest hope is that the Iraqis take advantage of the opportunities that they have.
8 years after shock and awe, after the toppling and death of Saddam Hussein, after at least 4,473 American lives lost and 32,226 wounded in action, and a roughly estimated 100,000 Iraqi civilian deaths, America leaves a significantly less violent but not completely stable Iraq.
The real question now is how warmly America will receive these Iraq War veterans who have the proven resilience, courage, and leadership skills to potentially become our next greatest generation. Beyond our gratitude to these young men and women who answer the call of duty, is the United States really doing enough to give them access to higher education, to jobs, to encourage even preferential mortgages as our nation did after World War II, which then and could now again help lift our nation's economy? Ann Curry, NBC News, Baghdad.
Just 3 months ago, 50,000 troops were in Iraq. Today, it's down to just 13,000, and only about 150 are expected to remain after the deadline. A new study may scare some parents about the safety of apple juice. Check out this story before you pour another glass.
And look at a beautiful sunset out there. Clouds are moving on away, but it just feels cold already. Last night's low was 41, high today 54 degrees, a little below normal. It will warm up a degree or two, but not much more than that. We'll tell you all about that with our forecast in just a couple of minutes.
Should the government pay for defense experts in the case against the Army psychiatrist charged in the Fort Hood shooting rampage? Well, that is what a military judge is trying to decide. Defense attorneys for Major Nidal Hassan say that they need a jury consultant and another expert to determine how potential jurors might be influenced by the pretrial publicity. Hassan is charged with 13 counts of murder in the November 2009 shooting spree. He faces the death penalty if convicted. The judge is expected to rule on the defense request today.
Gary Giordano is back in the States now. He was released from an Aruban prison last night. He's suspected in the disappearance and presumed death of Maryland woman Robin Gardner. She disappeared in August. Giordano was released after nearly 4 months in jail. A judge ruled there wasn't enough evidence to keep him. Prosecutors say they will continue to investigate and file charges if and when they find enough evidence against him. On Friday, Dateline NBC will feature the mystery surrounding the disappearance of Robin Gardner. Dateline's Unsolved Case Squad went to Aruba and conducted its own investigation. Missing in Paradise airs Friday at 10, followed by WAVY News 10 at 11. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Up next, how local troops are celebrating being home for the holidays.
And it is not safe to go back in the water, where some East Coast fishermen got a close encounter with this deadly predator.
Check, Ann McNamara, mic check.
Why is this only one bar? This was a brand new battery. Okay, I'm listening.
We told you earlier in the show, President Obama promises almost all troops in Iraq will be home for the holidays.
And some of them based right here in Hampton Roads will come home to a freshly cut Christmas tree. 10 on your sides. Ann McNamara went to Little Creek Fort Story today, where the family's got the pick of the lot. Pretty nice.
Exciting. Well, guys, what is Christmas without the tree? And this is the 7th year of Trees for Troops, the 4th at Little Creek Fort Story. And today there were 300 trees available to military families in Hampton Roads. And as you can imagine, picking just the right one is a really tough decision, especially for the kids.
Remember when picking a tree was so exciting you couldn't help but jump for joy?
It's exercise for the day.
Emergency, go!
It's probably been a while since you were that age.
This is my sister. She's 1, I'm 5.
And with the sun shining down on all those options, you have to know exactly what you're looking for.
What do you mean?
Tall or short, skinny or fat.
That one?
Turns out it's a tall one he's after. Good thing he brought his binoculars. Then there's the opposite, a little tree, a big marine.
Don't have a lot of space in the apartment.
At any size, these trees have big meaning. These men and women are home for the holidays to celebrate with family.
He's about 16 months, and yeah, we're teaching him how to get a tree. He's pretty excited, as you can see.
The Simpson family knows what it's like to go without.
Finally, to have the holidays with him is awesome.
Time to catch up on moments like this, sitting in the car while Dad ties the tree on top. The tree free of charge, a token of appreciation for his service.
That's one less thing to worry about. You know, my husband just got back from a tour from Afghanistan, and it's just awesome to have Christmas with him, and, you know, for the people to donate the trees to us, it really means a lot.
What if your service member can't make it home for Christmas? The program also shipped 300 trees to those serving overseas. Coming up at 6, hear from families hoping for the perfect tree, but also for a loved one to come home in time to see it. I'm Ann McNamara, 10 on your side.
All right, we're going to head back to breaking news right now in Norfolk. We've been following this for you since 4:30 this afternoon. This is where an abduction suspect was plucked from the Elizabeth River after a high-speed police chase that started in Suffolk.
10 on your side's Jason Marks is there on the ground live where the suspect was pulled from that cold weather there. Jason.
Yeah, guys, and I just got some new information from Chesapeake Police. They're telling us the suspect's name is Emilio Sanchez. It was his estranged wife was the victim in this case. Allegedly, he grabbed her, took off with her from Chesapeake, and then led police on that chase. Emilio Sanchez is his name. We're going to quickly show you what's going on here, and you can see things have calmed down a lot in just the last couple hours. There's still a few officers down there by the Norfolk Boat Club. That's where allegedly Sanchez ended the chase and then jumped into the Elizabeth River. He eventually was picked up by Coast Guard, who just happened to be right in the area, and they picked him up. He has been arrested. Emilio Sanchez, that's all the information right now we got from him. 31 years old. He's being charged with felony abduction, felony eluding, and driving without a driver's license. So that's the latest information from here in Norfolk. Of course, we're going to stay on the story. We'll have an update for you coming up on WAVY News 10 at 6. Now back to you guys.
All right, bit by bit, we're getting more information and making this much more clear.
Of course, you can always get the latest also on WAVY.com, including raw video of the chase and the search and all that.
All right. Now to a rare sight off the coast of North Carolina. A man from Boston was fishing with some friends when the fish stopped biting, that is, and this might be why. Take a look. An 18-foot great white shark. It was lurking around in the water there. When they first saw 2 fins, they thought this was 2 dolphins, and then they quickly realized it was a giant shark. The man quickly grabbed his cell phone and started recording. Thank goodness for the cell phones, huh? The shark circled the boat for several minutes. It even got a little too close for comfort.
He was going straight for us, like T-bone, like about to T-bone us, and he nudged us with his nose, turned around very quickly, and slapped the side of the boat with his tail.
And all things said, they're keeping that camera pretty steady. The men were fishing about 25 miles from Wrightsville Beach. The North Carolina Aquarium confirmed that this was a white shark, which is rare for the North Carolina coast.
Now, in high definition, your Super Dot for 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
And by the way, in referring to that story about the man jumping into the water into the Elizabeth River, water temperature right now is 55 degrees there. So again, very, very chilly water. And it's chilly out there as well in terms of the air. Skies are clear for the most part, and we've still got a little cloud cover near the coastline. But inland, again, the skies have cleared on off rather nicely, and the clouds are gone or almost gone. But the cold air is certainly going to stay during the overnight hours. Now, we take a look at what's going on at midnight. Some coastal clouds, but those two move on out. Here's where we are during the day tomorrow and move all the way into Friday. Everything is very, very sunny, lots and lots of sunshine. There is some action just on off to the west of the Mississippi Valley, and eventually by Tuesday, I think we're going to start to see some rainfall move on in, but for now, it's going to be very, very quiet, but cold overnight. Here's what's going on in terms of our cloud cover, and you can still see some clouds into Virginia Beach and parts of Chesapeake, northeast North Carolina. And what's going on is that there's a little wind shift line that's dropping on through overnight. It'll pick up our winds and really kind of reinforce the cold air in place. And it could be a little breezy during the first part of the day tomorrow, 10 to 15, gusting at times to around 20 miles an hour through around noon. And then the winds drop off at the end of the day tomorrow. High temperatures pretty close to what we had today, 53, 54, 55 degrees into the area. But it's likely to warm up a few more degrees coming up by Friday. Northwesterly winds at 5 to 10 at the noon hour Friday, and a light northerly northerly wind at the end of the day. Now cloud cover again. We're looking to the west toward the sunset. And again, you can see the clouds moved on overhead, but there are still a few clouds out there. And we'll call it partly cloudy right now. Temperatures around the 50-degree mark. It's 51 in Norfolk, 49 degrees in Virginia Beach and Newport News, 49 in Hampton, 45 already at Chesapeake, 46 into Suffolk. High today, 54 degrees. And again, upper 40s or mid 40s to around the 50-degree mark into the area right now. Now, by tonight at midnight, it's likely to be around 38, 40 degrees, 42 degrees into the area. And by tomorrow morning, 33, 34, 37. And there are likely to be some 32s mixed into some rural areas during the overnight hours as well. Now, tomorrow, only around 54, lots of sunshine, a little bit of a breeze through the trees through the first part of the day again for tomorrow. Little better by Friday, 58 degrees. Cooler again Saturday, 50. Then we warm up nicely for Sunday and Monday, 60, then 65 degrees. Again, temperatures dropping below freezing inland, around 36, 37, 38 near the coastline overnight, remaining a little bit on the chilly side tomorrow.
I'm Tom Shad. New tonight on WAVY News 10 at 6. A police pursuit through 2 cities. We're still working on the story we broke at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Only Chopper 10 is there as police pull him in. And then, nearly 5 months after someone killed a Virginia Beach couple, police charged their grandson with murder. It's all coming up on WAVY News 10 at 6. Keep it right here.
In today's health headlines, apple juice seems safe and healthy, but there's concern there's too much arsenic lurking inside.
Yeah, Consumer Reports says its research shows arsenic levels in apple and grape juice exceeded federal standards.
Of the 88 samples tested, 10% had total arsenic levels that were above federal standards for drinking water, but there are no federal limits set for juice.
Yeah, you might remember in September, Dr. Oz announced similar findings, but the FDA insists apple juice is safe, but says it is conducting more tests. The Juice Product Association says it's committed to following federal guidelines as it has for decades. The American Academy of Pediatrics suggests diluting juice with water and limiting consumption.
We all know things can go wrong with live TV.
We sure do. Cameras and mics can malfunction, but nothing could prepare NBC's Brian Williams for what happened last night.
Still ahead, hear what went wrong on air and see how the old pro handled the situation.
Nothing says Christmas like a freshly cut tree, and this year for this family, it has a special meaning. We'll have that story coming up.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, check, check.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hello, and a special hello to our viewers on WAVY.com. It's live TV, and anything can go wrong, and that was the case last night on NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams. A fire alarm went off during the broadcast and kept going through the show. Take a look.
For all the bankruptcies we've covered in this grim U.S. economy, this one gets your attention. You'll forgive us, we have a fire alarm announcement going on here in the studio. As we continue to deal with a fire alarm that is stuck, we press on nonetheless with tonight's broadcast. Thank you for being here.
That's what you got to do, press on. Twitter was abuzz about this one last night. By the way, WAVY's chief engineer assures us nothing like that could happen here. Yeah. Stay with us. WAVY News 10 at 6 starts right now.